Wherefore Series 2, Episode 16. Tasha takes a deep breath and says, I keep having this dream where I'm trying to fly, but I can't because there's a Stroud in Bloom meeting taking place on top of me, and John Marjoram keeps shouting at me to lie still so that I don't disturb the organic produce. Marjory Peaseblossom nods. This is a very common dream. Tasha is surprised about this. What, really? Yes, says Marjory, although sometimes John shouts about other things, but this is the most common iteration. They're having a Skype consultation. Lockdown has done some very odd things to Tasha's dreams, and she has felt the need for some support. I only met him once, she said. I can't even remember what was going on, only that he shouted, "Don't you want a future?" at me. This also happens a lot, says Marjory. You are experiencing a shared Stroud anxiety dream. They are quite normal. Do you get the one where you join a Morris team but everyone else is naked and no one told you they were all nudists? No, but I think I'd enjoy that, Tasha says. Have you had the dream about being swallowed whole by a giant snake? Marjory asks. Yes, several times now. Once it was a rainbow snake and it doesn't always have eyes. Sometimes it has wings, but it definitely isn't a dragon. It definitely is a snake with wings. Marjory jots down some notes. Very interesting, she says. And are you alarmed by this dream? Not really, says Tasha. I don't like it, but it doesn't scare me. What does scare you? Marjory asks. Tasha takes a slow, deep breath. She doesn't want to think about this dream, but what point is there spending money on a dream therapist and not mentioning the nightmare that bothers her most? I'm walking down the street at night. It's an ordinary sort of road. It seems familiar, but it isn't anywhere specific, I think. And there's this sound. It is a really awful sound. It hurts me and scares me, and then I realise it is chasing me. So I try and run away from it, but my shoes are really heavy and my legs won't work properly, so I'm panicking and running in slow motion, which is all really horrible. And all while the sound is getting closer and I feel like it's going to eat me. The sound is going to eat you. Yes, says Tasha. I know that's weird. I'm not afraid of whatever is making the sound. It's not what's making the sound that will eat me, but the noise itself. Like it is in some way also a tidal wave full of teeth, and when it hits me it will bite all the flesh from my bones. It's the thing I just know in the dream, like you do. Marjory nods. Then what happens? It varies. Sometimes I wake up drenched in sweat, sometimes it feels like I spend the whole night trying to run away from it. There was one time when it went past me and it didn't eat me and I got to see where the noise was coming from. She pauses and takes a swig of cold tea. It's a band. 20, 30 musicians with all kinds of instruments. Some of them real, some very wrong. None of the musicians have faces. They're all wearing dinner jackets and boxer shorts. Many of them have extra arms. She shudders at the recollection. Tell me, Marjory asks gently, were you frightened of jazz as a child? I wasn't really exposed to it. My parents were mostly into community choirs. Marjory nods. You won't have built up any kind of tolerance at all, then. Does it mean anything, this dream? Tasha asks. I think it does, says Marjory. I think in essence it means that reality is beginning to fall apart. Tasha shivers, even though this sounds rather far-fetched. I think this dream of yours is ominous. Is there anything more to it? Well, this is the silly bit. They're all human-sized, the musicians, and some of the instruments are quite big, but even so, somehow they're all riding on just this one bicycle. I have no idea how it works, who is steering, who is pedaling, but there it is. I don't even know why the image is so chilling, but it definitely has that effect on me. Well, that bit is easy to explain. It's chilling precisely because it's real. Only most people don't see the musicians. What? Says Tasha. Because of all the meanings she has considered, it being real isn't one of them. I know a number of people who have experienced this while awake, Marjory says. Although when it is experienced while awake, it seems like a single shadowy gentleman is riding a bicycle and playing pre-recorded jazz music at great volume. Tasha is quiet for a while as she absorbs this. Apparently he comes down Bath Road regularly. I've never heard him myself, but enough of my neighbours have. I sleep like the dead. Me. She laughs as though this statement is exceedingly funny, but Tasha can see no reason why it would be. Right, says Marjory. To avoid Stroud in bloom dreams, no fruit teas or herbal teas in the hour before you go to bed. No plants in the bedroom. Don't watch any gardening programs. That mostly seems to do the trick. There isn't a definite cure for the snake dream. If you weren't also getting the Stroud in bloom dream, I'd recommend using lavender. But that is, of course, a plant. You may have to decide which of those dreams to avoid and which one to put up with. There is some evidence to suggest that the snake can't see you if you either hide under the covers or wear some sort of blindfold while sleeping. Thank you, says Tasha, who really wasn't expecting this sort of advice. The jazz cyclist problem is different. You might want to try small doses of jazz during the day to try and build up some resilience. You could try going to sleep with music on. Folk singing can often ward off jazz if properly deployed. The jazz just doesn't like it, you see. But you're the only person I know of who has reported being able to see the musicians. That could be very important information. You're in a unique position here. Really? Says Tasha, who at this point has no idea what to think. Can I share what you've said with the other light workers who are investigating the jazz cyclist menace? By all means, says Tasha. And if anything happens in this regard, do please call me any time. You don't need an appointment. Thank you, Tasha says. But not at night, obviously. I really do sleep like the dead. And on the computer screen, Marjory folds her arms across her chest and arranges her face in a surprisingly deathly way. When she opens her eyes again, Tasha gives her a big thumbs up and ends the call and goes to look for something stronger than tea.